right, so now we're just playing with some of the stuff that we did before with degrees, but we're going to use radians instead. So they're giving us a point, and they're saying, you know, find the angles. What they've given us is between, instead of negative 360 degrees and 360 degrees, now they're telling us that the range of possible values is negative 2 pi to 2 pi, which means that it could either be one full circle forward or one full circle backwards. But they're using 2 pi. This is something to be aware of in the future, because now we're going to be having situations where we've got degrees and we've got radians. You want to pay attention to what they tell you for your range of values, and that's going to tell you whether your calculator should be in radians or whether it should be in degrees. So just be aware of that. If it says 2 pi, we're talking radians. If it says degrees, then we're talking degrees. But it's up to you to pay attention to that, because your book might switch back and forth. All right, well, let's get a diagram down, because that's how I roll. We've got negative 9 and negative 5, which means we're in this quadrant. And I've got negative 9, who knows? Something like that ought to work out. Doesn't have to be exact, but should be in the right quadrant. Now, what they want us to find out is the possible values for theta in that domain. So, values for theta, which means that we've got two possible options. We could go forward to get there, or we could go backward and have a negative value, right? So there's your negative value. We'll even put a little positive sign on there for the positive angle. Now, negative 9 and negative 5 is not on one of those little sweet spots that we talked about for 30, 60, 90 degrees, or even 45. At least it doesn't obviously look that way. So what we want to do instead is actually use the values that they give us. This is a little triangle, right? Right there. And this side is worth 5 and this side is worth 9. No one really cares about the negatives at this point, because we're just making the triangle. If you were worried about whether it was negative or positive, it's tan. So to solve this, I'm going to use tan because I have x and y. Whoops, let's use a different marker. So tan of this triangle, to get this angle right here, which is the one that's missing, I know that this one's worth pi, is going to be opposite over adjacent. It's always y over x when we're talking about things on the circle. So I'm just going to put in my value, and I could put in the negatives, it doesn't matter, because it would be negative 5 over negative 9. They're going to cancel out and be positive anyway. So tan's always going to be positive in the third quadrant. So we can go second function tan of 5 over 9, remembering that your calculator should be in radians. And you're going to go something like this and get 0.507, which should be enough, especially since it's got a 0 after that. So basically what we've got here is pi. So we have pi to here, and then this little portion here is the 0.507. So to get the actual angle, we're going to go pi plus 0.507, which is 3.141, blah, 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 blah. So we'll just add that in our calculators. And this is already rounded off, so it doesn't, we can't really keep pi as pi anyway. You've already lost your accuracy. So you go 3.65, let's say. Did it tell us to the nearest tenth of a, well, where are we at? Nearest tenth of a radian, yeah. So that's kind of bothersome to me, because now we have to round it off quite a bit. But I guess, so my calculator says 3.648. and I rounded up to 3.65, but that's not accurate because they want the 10th of the radian. So I'm just going to look at the 3.64 and go, well, 4 didn't quite make it, so it's 3.6. So going that way, that works out. If I was going to do the negative one, then I've got pi minus 0.507 to get the negative value. So I can go second function pi minus 0.507 and I get 2.6. So that would have to be a negative 2.6 for this portion. So that whole thing was 3.6. This part is negative 2.6.